The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Is the Canucks general manager, Patrik Allvin, both bald and bold, or is he just one or the other? Trevor Beggs did the math. Let's talk about it here on Locked On Canucks.
The following is a hockey podcast out.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Canucks on July 21st. Dude, I should be drinking a Slurpee. But here we are, man, assessing Patrik Allvin, all his moves. Like I said, Beggsy did the math. And we're going to show you the math on Locked On Canucks. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Yes, FanDuel is that place, right? Right now, you place a $5 bet. If you're a new customer, you win that first $5 bet. Boom, bam, $150 in bonus bets. Play responsibly. And yeah, Patrik Allvin, yo. Patrik Allvin. Move after move after move after move. And recently, it's fourth round pick after fourth round pick after fourth round pick after fourth round pick. Right? The latest, Dakota Joshua out. A 2028 fourth round pick coming our way. 2028. You know what year it is right now? 2025. That means the Dakota Joshua got traded for a 2-year-old in preschool right now. A lot's changed, man, in 14 months. And as Bob Bluger is saying in the comments, one love to you and you and you and you. I like to move it. Allvin. Doing everything and anything to, change up the scenery, because mediocrity is still in the horizon, not just on the horizon. The Canucks still a middling team, and I don't blame them for being impulsive. But like I said earlier, man, I think the fan base feeling a little bit indifferent with Allvin and Rutherford, considering that they had to make moves via the trade market, but it's just been a couple fourth round picks. And again, the city, the fan base, they deserve better. Last year was a season from hell, and this is month 1.5 of the off season. Maybe we were expecting more. Maybe we wanted something more flashy, or maybe, just maybe, the fan base has every right to again, not be excited about some 4-year-old the Canucks just acquired. You know what I'm saying? And then we got the whole Operation Quinn Hughes thing. Rutherford coming out saying he wants to play with his brothers. Dude, again, you can't just blame us. This is just a interesting team. A fascinating team, a heavy team to follow, okay? It's not hard to be emotional about these Vancouver Canucks. And, me, 32 and a half years old, still got a lot of life to live. I'm not there yet. Not mature enough to not take everything so seriously. But like Allvin is right now, bald. I'm balding. So cap space and, again, fourth round picks, it's just making me think. It's making me think. And when you see the Oilers get to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals and whatnot, as a petty sports fan, you just want more. And patience, man. Is patience something I gotta have more of, or do I gotta stop feeling like a patient? Because, like I said, this team is, how do I say it, man? Sometimes I feel like I have a concussion following the Vancouver Canucks. I wish I was married. I wish I had kids. I wish I had something else. Anyways, let's talk about Allvin's moves, and maybe by the end of it, I don't know, I'll feel better. Right? Who knows? Again, though, one love to you and you, and you and you, and you and you, and one love to Green, okay? Look at him. Kyle has as many cups as Connor McDavid. I choose Kyle first overall. You know what? Thanks for doing that, okay? Thanks for making me feel better. I keep forgetting that. I have the same amount of cups as Connor McDavid. Anyways, Trevor, he made a list of all of Patrik Allvin's moves, okay? Where is Trevor right now? He's not being a fan. He's being a family man. He's trying to put bacon on the table for his family in a work meeting, so I got to do this alone and just look at his list. But look at this list that he made. It's huge. Allvin's been around for 3.5 years, and he has, like 40 moves on this tier list. Why don't we just stop or start at the bottom? I'm sorry, okay? At not the losses nor the wins, but let's start with the meh, okay? At the very bottom, maybe the trades that don't matter. Let me know how you feel about all this, okay? Mark Friedman for futures. Remember him. Daniel Sprong, remember him for futures. The Canucks also signed Akito Hirose, Mick Ward. We're going way back. Remember when that was exciting? Guys like Philip Johansson, the guy from Minnesota, right, a couple years ago. Again, Allvin's just been like doing so much work over the last 3.5 years. One of those things that Trevor has in the meh category, if I'm saying that right, is the Drew O'Connor extension. Okay, so can we talk about that again? The first tier, the meh tier. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not a kid anymore. But he has Drew O'Connor and that extension not meaning much, and that's something to me, something that's like news to me because they gave this guy a 4-year extension a week into his Canuck career, didn't he? Didn't he get that? No? 4 years, $10 million? He replaces Dakota Joshua. He makes Dakota Joshua more expendable. And here Trevor Beggs has him as a nothing. Or doesn't know how to feel about it. If you look at Drew O'Connor's face, Google him, you'd probably feel the same way. Already, man, the fan base a little bored of Drew O'Connor. Some of us. Again, we're emotional. That all being said, the more and more you mentally watch the film of Drew O'Connor, and it's a short sample size with the Vancouver Canucks. I don't know. I feel as if there's a player there. There's a strong floor, and there's chances for, that boring guy to just, I don't know, be sort of mid. Which is okay for 2.5 years. Oh, there you go. Supersonic Style saying it's 2 years. My bad. 2 years. 2 years at 2.5. Why did I think 4, man? Allvin can't be that drunk. And as Supersonic Style is saying too, like it's 2 years, 2.25 or 2.5 million a year. Have faith. He'll bounce back next season. Again, I think he did good. I think he did his thing. Again, you could see a little bit of play driving. I'm not going to lie. You're going to see a lot of, speed. He's got a strong layer of compete. He's fast. He's huge. And I know it's hard to stomach, but sometimes I can live with the fact, can sleep with the fact, can make love with the fact that they chose him or have him, which made Dakota Joshua expendable. It is what it is. And as Green is saying, man, get involved in the comments, man. Y'all already corrected me once. Y'all producing the show. Trevor Beggs not here today. Doc is one of the few players we have with speed, and speed wins. Speed plays. Speed does its thing. Trevor Beggs, though, man, not a fan. Not a fan. Again, the average moves. Drew O'Connor in that list. Let's talk about some of the losses. We'll move up a tier. Canucks trade Podkolzin for a 4th-round pick. How big of a loss is that? Trevor Beggs also has DiPietro. And Jonathan, was it Jonathan Meyerberg? For Jack Stanika. Remember that one? That one's bad. That one's bad. That one's really bad. How about when the Canucks traded a 3rd-round pick for Travis Dermott? Not even a 4th. Again, man. I'm already getting sad reading this list. It just... Allvin. Out of all those ones, I mean, we could touch on Podkolzin just a bit. I didn't like the trade at the time. Not more so because, we just signed Podkolzin to a multi-year extension, $1 million per year. I know I got that right. And I don't know. You don't even know what at the time, you didn't know where the ceiling was, and it's probably because all Podkolzin was like a rancher and like an average rancher, right? Good floor, but that's it. Tries hard, cool. But if you have to get rid of him, you have to get rid of him. It's all good. Yeah, you want the capital, you want the 4th round pick, go get it. But the fact that he went to the Oilers, man, and was a factor again. I talked to my cousins a lot. A couple of them, big time Oilers fans. How about a friend of the show, Ash Neal, big time Oilers fan. They watch a lot of playoff hockey. If they did not like Vasily Podkolzin, and again, that's a team that's right to the cap. Every dollar counts. If they did not like him, they would want him off the team. And that $1 million salary. I'm telling you. But they love him. They see more there. In fact, I just saw Oilers Nation make a little clip. I don't know how significant it is, but they were comparing what? Zach Hyman to a light Vasily Podkolzin, or is it a light Zach Hyman to Vasily Podkolzin? I think I said it right the second time. But yo, Oilers fans love him, and that's why I don't like that trade. You're traded into the rival, man. Don't like it. How about some more losses? Before we cut to break, we just talked about the Dakota Joshua one, okay? Dakota Joshua traded for a 4th round pick, a 2028 4th round pick. How about Shelovs? Traded for Chase Stillman and a 4th round pick. We're talking about a Calder Cup MVP, AHL guy, fan favorite. Again, I said it before. I feel as if Trevor's just being super harsh. Maybe he has something against bald people, but that was the most they were going to get. After extending Demko, signing Lankinen, it is what it is. How about some more losses, though? Okay, Danton Heinen, Vincent Desharnais, the signings, right? Remember last year? And we said it on this program, man. I mean, I tried my best. I tried my best to be kind after a couple episodes where I was just tearing Vincent Desharnais apart before he even played a game for the Canucks. That guy was a personality hire. From the jump. Those same Oilers fans that I'm connected with, they were laughing at us that we gave him $2 million a year, okay? No team was going to do that. Arguably one of the worst defensemen in hockey. But Rick Tocchet, Adam Foote, and Patrik Allvin, they all came together. They must have been a little bit intoxicated, probably. And they wanted Vinny D. And he was just, someone who I feel as if set the tone for the team in a wrong way, right? We're talking about a July 1 signing. Right, from this perspective, and I always make this joke, we went from wanting Jake Gensel and we got Jake DeBrusk, and we wanted to keep Nikita Zadorov and we got Vincent Desharnais. Hey, nothing against Jake DeBrusk. I'm just saying it was one of those July 1st where I'm like, Because let's be real, the Canucks did what they did in 23-24 because of the offseason, the successful offseason that they had back in July of 2023. And I'm not saying it's make or break at those times, right? In July, free agency, blah, blah, blah. But when you win that month and you're just the middling team trying to figure it out, you're up against the likes of McDavid and Draisaitl in the Pacific Division and Las Vegas. Like, you need to really smack on July 1st. And it just felt again. July of 2024, July 1st, it just felt like a L. It felt scary. And how about when they use Vincent Desharnais? Or whatever, they shipped his salary off in that Marcus Pettersson trade. And then Pittsburgh goes ahead. And what did they get for Vincent Desharnais from San Jose? What pick was it? So was he really a salary dump? Again, the whole Vincent Desharnais thing was just, it was wrongly played. Anyways, we'll get to more losses on the other side, and then we'll talk about the wins. Don't worry, we'll talk about the wins. Trevor Beggs may join us. Again, the choice is his. He can choose his family, or he can choose you and you and you and you. And we'll see what he does. And again, we'll talk about all of Patrik Allvin's moves. We're talking about every single one. And we're doing it right here. Yes, right here on Locked On Canucks. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Speaking of Beggsy, right? Father Beggsy, second best dad in the world. I believe he likes to play FanDuel with his daughter, okay? Hey, I didn't say it. He said it. And they're probably watching a lot of baseball, probably watching a lot of soccer as well. Right? Our favorite sports are not in action, but yo, you can get in on the ones that are. And there's still a lot of sports everywhere, okay? And again, even if these sports aren't your favorite, FanDuel is the best way to make all these games more exciting, okay? They got new daily promotions, right? Keeping it fresh, giving you different ways to bet. The same game parlay, man. That slogan, more popular than I love you. Hey, it is what it is. Do so responsibly, and that's, play the game of life. Play the game of FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, guess what? Okay, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today and visit FanDuel.com to get started. Trevor Beggs, I say this all the time. Play FanDuel responsibly, okay? People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. Trevor Beggs has joined us. He's in the lobby. That means he does care about you, and we're going to still do this, and that's, continue to go down some of the losses from Patrik Allvin, and we'll do all that before we get to the dubs. Based on my eye test, I feel as if there's more losses in other types of moves than wins. No. Trevor actually doesn't have a lot of losses. That's interesting. But like I said, we'll get into all of the losses before we expand this conversation. But first, let's get to some comments, okay? Here on Locked On Canucks. Man, oh man, what's going on? Who's talking about somebody getting jumped at the Roxy? You guys are something else. Angie K saying Patrik Allvin's best move was the Nikita Zadorov trade. Where does Trevor have that in his moves? He has that as a win, okay? It was pretty much Beauvillier for Nikita Zadorov. Yeah, that's a win. The only thing that's not good about that is our fascination with tall defensemen who could skate. And because we love that, at the end of last year, we went and signed Vincent Darnay. You know what I'm saying? What else do we got in the comments? Green saying the biggest win was keeping Pettersson. Man, oh man. And Will saying, man, the management continuously giving us poor asset management. Oh man, that's something else. And Roberto Luongo saying I sound like a 7-year-old kid. Hey man, you got to check out my TikTok and see what happened to me, okay? There was an injury, and enough said. Anyway, so let's go through some more losses of Patrik Allvin's general manager career as a Vancouver Canuck. And Trevor, man, talking about this one, this one's interesting to me. Because, again, I don't know if it's because I moved back home and I'm getting cooked home cooked meals. Maybe I'm softening up just a little bit, okay? But the Marcus Pettersson trade, right? What was that? It was pretty much what did Pittsburgh get? The 11th or 13th overall pick this year. They also got Danton Heinen. They also got Vincent Darnay. And we got Marcus Pettersson, UFA at the time, and Drew O'Connor. And I don't know. Like I said, if we're talking about how strong the Canucks D is and it being such a strength, right? If we're bragging about that, if I'm seeing people putting us at the top of the tier list when it comes to that category across the league, if it's the one thing that we can lean on this summer and be excited for next year, like, oh, strong goaltending and strong defense, we're going to be the next New Jersey Devils. We're going to just destroy the game of hockey, but it's going to lead us to some success. We got to bring up Marcus Pettersson. Like, he's a big part of that. And again, I'm softening up. Trevor Beck saying this is a loss, but Tom Melander, right? Tom Melander and DPD. Think about that. They're going to need some veteran leadership. And I don't know, is Philip Pronik that guy? And how much responsibility does Quinn Hughes already have? Like, Marcus kind of needs to be there. And how much faster does DPD and Tom Melander get to where they need to go with their potential because Marcus Pettersson's in that room? Now, it's wait and see. I'm not sure if he's ever played that role in the past when it comes to like being transitional in his leadership and his development of his teammates, but it's that time. And then you look at what some defensemen got this offseason, and this is always the case. But his number kind of seems low. You know, he got the extension right away, a bit of a personality hire. But for his skill set and what he brings and being a legitimate top four defenseman, it's becoming quite clear to me and maybe some of the fan base that, again, this Marcus Pettersson trade, like that Greener was talking about, again, giving up the 13th overall pick. Trevor, you might have to confirm this with me. Trevor Beggs is with us now. It was like the 13th pick, the 11th pick or something. One of those, and those two salary dumps for Marcus Pettersson and Drew O'Connor. It's not the worst trade in the world now.
No, it's not. I mean, I got to double down on my takes. I've been saying this all along. I still wasn't a fan of the move, wasn't a fan of the panic decision. It was the 12th overall pick in the draft. And yeah, you get Marcus Pettersson on a pretty fair deal, and you get him for the 12th overall pick. That's not a bad deal. You get Drew O'Connor in there. You give up Melvin Fernstrom and then the captains for Desharnais and Danton Heine as well. Not the worst trade in the world. I just would have liked to see the Canucks maybe not panic so much. I would have liked to see them hold on to Miller for longer. I think was the biggest mistake they made there. And yeah, buy Marcus Pettersson early. You got the cap hit down, which is a plus. They bought him to make the playoffs, which obviously didn't happen as well. But say la vie there.
Say la vie. And again, Trevor, you want to touch on that though? Like Marcus Pettersson being the leader for DPD and Tom Melander. I feel as if we barely talk about that. That's actually like an important role for him.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we've all seen the clips, right? Good locker room guy, Marcus, man. String bean Steen at 6'3", 180 pounds or whatever it is. But the guy seems like he's a good locker room leader, and always motivating the boys in the hallways, always talking a lot on the bench, talking a lot on the ice. And a guy that's been around leaders, right? He's been around Sidney Crosby. He's got to see Sidney Crosby work his magic for quite some time there in Pittsburgh. So I think intangibles are important, man. I think intangibles, a lot of guys brush them off, but he does bring those positive locker room qualities. And yeah, it's interesting with DPD and Tom Melander because stylistically they're such different players. I would say that they're both pretty different from Marcus Pettersson. Maybe Tom Melander's a little bit more similar just in terms of the defense first game he plays without maybe bringing the physicality. But yeah, I think Marcus Pettersson, look, the defense is going to be the rock of this team, right? And Marcus Pettersson's a huge part of that. And if he can get DPD and Tom Melander to another level, which I think is possible, then that's a big plus too. But so not even mentioning Quinn Hughes and Philip Pronik. I mean, the Canucks on their defense, they're in a good spot, right? I know we're all complaining with the forwards and robbing Peter for Paul and blah blah blah. But yeah, I mean, look, the Marcus Pettersson trade, it does look better than it did a few months back. I still don't think it was the right move, but yeah, I mean, Marcus Pettersson's a good player at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, again, since he's part of the strength, I'm just looking forward to like seeing if they could all pan out. Trevor, I'm gonna mute you every time you're not talking, and then you can just unmute yourself when you're chatting away. Okay, so we're going through some of the losses still before we get to all the good stuff. The Canucks holding on to Brock Besser and Pius Suter again. One of Allvin's non-moves that still factor into Allvin's acquisition rate as GM of the Canucks. And again, there's no trade here, but it pisses people off. They get nothing for them. But, they tried with Suter up until the end. They had an internal budget. They couldn't get it done. Again, I would love for them to get something for real. It didn't happen. It sucks. But they tried, and they kept Besser. So it could have been the worst trade deadline ever, but it's okay. It's okay. It's a little bit more. I was going to say swallowable. Okay, I can swallow it. I can stomach it, okay? For real. It is what it is. If you want to chime in, Trevor, just click the unmute button. But you want to get on that? You're muted, buddy.
I would say that the Vrbata Hamhuis versus Besser Suter, was Besser Suter worse? I would say probably.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Sure
Look back at it now. Because they kept Besser, and they tried to keep Suter up until the end. They maybe almost got him, and at some point they kind of almost made the playoffs too. Again, they needed to keep one of them, and they did. And for me, I can stomach that now. It is what it is. No,
yeah, I think what I was gonna say before you cut me off there, brah.
My bad.
Was before the Besser re-signing, it was shaping up to be potentially worse than Vrbata and Hamhuis, right? But now that they kept Besser, it looks better for sure. And look, I still don't like the ideology of making these all-in moves just to make the playoffs last season, because it was clear that the Canucks were not going to make the playoffs, or at least they weren't going to make any noise once they got into the playoffs, right? So I don't like those kind of short-term win-now decisions that didn't work out and were never going to work out, whether they made the playoffs or not. But it does look a lot better now that Besser has re-signed in Vancouver, because, man, oh man, that was shaping up to be pretty grim there for a while.
Pretty grim. It is what it is. Trevor, we're trying to soften you up by the time this is all said and done, because you got some dark things on this list. Again, some of the obvious. I thought you'd warm up to the Marcus Pettersson thing by now just because you had a weekend. Again, to be honest, I thought you'd warm up just a little. And all in all, though, this one's a little scary, too, to talk about, because it felt like a little bit of a win last year, considering that we thought we were contenders and the cap space mattered, and we didn't retain a lot of money. But it was signing Mikheyev for $19 million. Again, a loss. We're talking about Allvin's losses. And then trading Mikheyev, Lafferty's rights, and a second for a fourth to Chicago. Again, at the time, Trevor, it's overall now a loss, but at the time, it felt like a win.
You talking about the Mikheyev trade itself, or just the signing?
No, the trade, not the signing. The signing, come on. The signing from the jump, me and you were like, what the hell is going on? It was one of the first episodes of the Locked On Canucks too. That was weird.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, look, it was, you basically moved back two rounds in the draft to get off of Mikheyev's salary, and you still had to retain, I think it's $716,000 on it. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you could argue that the moves helped the Canucks last year, right? They freed up some cap space. They got different players in the door. I just, when he attached the second to get rid of Dickinson's contract, when he attached the second to get rid of Mikheyev's contract, I know Dickinson wasn't his person originally, but you just don't love those moves, right? You really don't. It's especially for a team that the Canucks, as asset poor as they are. And Mikheyev, again, I think struggled a bit in his first year in Chicago, was better last year. Yeah, you would have just liked to see them find a way to, not attach a second to get rid of Mikheyev's contract.
But there was, again, some desperation to shed that cap and sign Danton Heinen and Vincent Desharnais. I think that's the gross part about all. No. That's the math that I'm trying to do. That was the grossest part about it all. It's like we got that money and right away we spent it on absolute trash. And I talked about this earlier, Trevor, before you were here. But again, you don't win the Stanley Cup on July 1st. But I think an organization like the Canucks, and we saw this a couple of years ago when they did nail their July 1st. When the Ian Coles and the Soucies and boom, bam, everything was just working, right? Outside of Mikheyev, everything was working. And this July 1st, well, the July 1st, 13 months ago, that was horrible. It was horrible. Yeah,
it was a mixed bag, right? I mean, you and I think I've been more critical of DeBrusk than most, but 28 goals at 5.5 is fair value. It's just he didn't show up a lot of the time.
Yeah. Horrible's too strong of a word. Horrible's too strong of a word, I think.
And they got Kiefer Sherwood. It was a mixed bag.
Yeah. too strong of a word. I get it, but I think I would have liked them to, especially with Vincent Darnay. I know it's so stupid to spend so much time talking about this guy, but they banked on him being not just like not just like just a tall dude, a big dude, but somebody who could like regularly play in the top 6 and replace Ian Cole and partially replace Nikita Zadorov, like make a good first pass. And like they just were done finding defensemen. You know what I'm saying? And like I wonder how much better this decor is if they take some time from not looking at Vincent Darnay and desperately signing him on July 1st and just like wait till they could have found the next Ian Cole or, you know?
Yeah, no, it was a desperate move, and obviously they really wanted Vinny D in the door, man. That was a very strange decision. But look, no, I got about a minute left here, Kyle. I got a text and my kid's got goop running out of his eye, and I gotta pick him up ASAP, man. But I think one of the main things that in going over Allvin's moves over the past 3.5 years, there have been more wins than losses. I think that's important to remember in the context of, is Allvin a good general manager or not? Because the last 12 months, it's been very up and down, right? And it's, the big question I'm asking myself is Allvin closer to the GM who was the runner-up for GM of the year, like barely 12 months ago? Or is he more mid, like the Canucks have been throughout his tenure? And I haven't loved a lot of the moves in the past 12 months, and I'm not alone in that. I feel like a lot of you listen and feel the same way. But the thing I keep trying to remind myself as an optimist is prove us wrong, because Allvin has proven us wrong on a number of occasions. We all wanted Miller shipped out. We wanted Horvat kept. He chose Miller over Horvat. That ended up being a good decision. Hronek, that trade didn't look great at the time. That ended up being a good decision. Talking over Boudreau ended up being a good decision. He has proven us wrong, or at least the majority of us wrong on a number of occasions. Let's see if he can do the same. I mean, I still think this team is like grasping at too many straws. Like let's see if Kane and Hedel and these guys can, be better. The decision to keep Pettersson, he's going to bounce back. I mean, we'll see. But Allvin has proven us wrong before. So compared to his predecessor, he deserves a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt. I got to go, man. One love to you, bro.
Okay. Trevor Beggs out of here again. We're going through all of Allvin's moves. We've already talked for 32 minutes. I guess this episode is going to be like 50 minutes long. Some other losses got that Trevor wrote. He wrote the Pettersson extension. Can we get to that on the other side? We have to, okay? Hard to say, because again, I'm banking on that guy coming back, and if he comes back to form, it is what it is. And then he's also got the Evander Kane trade as a loss for the Vancouver Canucks. Trevor Beggs, man, based on what I've seen, and again, he has a lot of wins that we're about to talk about, and we'll get through some of the other signings too. I guess more of the meh signings that I missed on the first segment really quickly, but Trevor Beggs is not that excited for next year. Okay. Anyways, let's talk about it on the other side. My name's Kyle Bhawan. I'll read your comments too. It's going to be a long one. You're watching and listening to Locked On Canucks. People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks and all of Patrik Allvin's moves. This was a Trevor Beggs idea. He wanted to do this show, and then boom, bam, next thing you know, he's barely even here, and I have to go through this list that he made. So I apologize for the chaos, right, and the lack of structure. It is what it is. We're having fun. But Beggsy, man, he owes me one, okay? He owes me one. I think he has to let me know in the comments. Again, normally, like, it's easy to freestyle episodes of Locked On Canucks, but when you got a list like this, like, I'm just Kyle Bhawan, man. I'm not a journalist like you. Whatever, though. Before we get to the wins, okay, let's go through all like the other the meh category of acquisitions from Patrik Allvin. Again, this is Trevor's list. It's all over the place. I thought I'd finish this earlier on, but let's just go through it quickly, okay? The Canucks trade Carson Soucy for a third-round pick. Yes, Soucy for a third-round pick. They also trade Pullman and his salary and a fourth for Eric Brandstrom. That's the same fourth. Is it the same fourth that they got for Podkolzin? Maybe. The Canucks trade Rathbone and Plastic for Friedman and Glover. Yo, Friedman was a win to me because we kind of needed him as our 7th, 8th defenseman. You look at Friedman, right? Like a better player than Vincent Darnay, right? Right? More meh trades. We traded a 5th round pick for Lafferty. We trade Pearson and a 3rd for Casey to Smith. Big trade. That one was needed. His salary as well went the other way. Curtis Lazar for a 4th. Again, the Lazar experience was something else. I feel like he's one of the most average. Like, how much money has that guy made from eating a cheeseburger off the ice, right? Anyways, the Canucks also traded Luke Shen for a 3rd. Chase Stillman's brother for Josh Bloom. Is that his name? Okay, how about Lockwood and a 7th for Kratsov? I saw Kratsov at a club one time. Dakota Joshua was buying him some drinks. Again, Joshua's a good teammate. Well, we don't even have him anymore. My goodness, so many trades. Again, this list is huge. The Canucks also traded a 5th for Ethan Bear. Was that a thing? Remember that? It was a 5th for Bear. Okay, I forgot about that. How about when they traded Mott for a 4th and Hamonic for a 3rd that they switched into Dermott? Again, Allvin also, signing a lot of like random dudes that, have played strong parts in the organization. I'm going to put Archie Baines in the win category. I think there's still something there. And, at the time he was, I would say, coveted, right? Leading the WHL in scoring. We signed that guy. They also signed Neil Zaman. They re-signed Linus Carlson. They signed Naxison out of college. And some extra ones are the Teddy Bluger extension, the Myers extension, and the Forbert signing. Okay, so Forbert, for me, again, he's a guy that we got last year, right? July 1st. Forbert, to me, he has to turn into a win based on how much value you got out of him last year, okay? He's not just a meh. He's a win. The Myers extension, to me, I still got to think about that one. Anyways, did anything ring a bell there before we talk about all the wins? Okay, a Supersonic style saying, how about when he re-signed Atu Ratu this offseason? Like, does that fall under the meh category or whatever? Is it a win? I don't even think Trevor mentioned that in this. Anyone want to talk about the fact that, I don't know, there was a chance for the Canucks to do something creative with Atu Ratu? I've seen Thomas Drance talk about this quite a lot. Like, was there a world where maybe you could have got Atu Ratu for like 5 years and paid him like $2 million per, 2.5 per? Just take that risk, right? Could that have been something? Because what did we give him? We gave him a 2-year deal, right? Atu Ratu contract. The Canucks signed Atu Ratu. What was it? A 2-year deal? Or $750,000 per. That's still a lot of value, considering he's gonna do something this year. But again, was there an opportunity to bank on the fact that he had like a handful of goals in the games he played last year? Like, we saw some positive progression. If we do believe there's a player there and he's a big part of the team, right? Is he someone that we could steal? Like, is Atu Ratu playing at a $4.5 million rate, a $5 million rate in a couple of years? Is he? And since we didn't give him that creative type of deal, we got to re-sign him again. Was there an opportunity there? Wait and see. I guess it's win-win. Look at this comment from Shootapalooza and Rolland. Pretty much, loving Tyler Myers. Am I crazy to say that paying $3 million for Myers is okay? At the time, I think I was so in love with Nikita Zadorov. Also, we had other UFAs like Lindholm as well. I just feel as if I was so focused on making sure the money went to different places, but there we were extending Tyler Myers. And I thought Myers was fine this year. I thought he was better than fine. And, we talk about this deep decor, and let's say, Elias Pettersson does take the next step. The Canucks have 5 pretty good defensemen, from Quinn Hughes all the way to Tyler Myers at number 5. Like, that's exciting. That's exciting. I'm turning into a Tyler Myers fan. Anywho, let's go through some of the wins, okay? This is the sexy part. And I want to say this right now. Maybe people left when I said, oh, July 1st of last year was horrible. Again, we got Kiefer Sherwood and Jake DeBrusk. And I said it was horrible. That's how much I was angry at the Vincent Desharnais thing. Okay? Because I got to take that back. Those two, they provide a lot of value based on how much they get paid, right? So, again, some of the wins in Allvin's career, we just talked about two of them, Jake DeBrusk, Kiefer Sherwood, signing last year. Something else that happened last year that is a win is the Filip Hronek extension. Perfect value, right? A lot of years, a lot of money, 7.25 a year over the next 8, and he's worth it. He's worth it. The Canucks probably saved $800,000 there, minimum, maybe at 1.25, and then that goes a long way. Filip Hronek, a heck of a player. How about Kevin Lankinen signing him? Got to give credit where credit is due, too. They signed Kevin Lankinen at the end of the offseason, like the very end, right, the end of September. And he could have gone anywhere, and maybe his options were limited, and not a lot of teams wanted to, spend more money on goaltending, even if it wasn't a lot. But the Canucks, in their negotiations and in their conversations with Kevin Lankinen, because they started early in the offseason, they were able to, keep him open to coming here for that long. Even though they were probably stringing him along, even though they were probably annoying him at some points. Yet he signed, and now he's the 1B goaltender, probably the 1A goaltender, as well for the Vancouver Canucks for a very long time. Hey, but Trevor, man, the Marcus Pettersson extension is a win. How do you have acquiring him as a loss, but extending him as a win? I feel bad for Trevor's family sometimes, man. Because that makes no sense at all. He also has the Garland and Demko extensions as wins, and the Brock Besser extension as wins. All recent stuff. How about this one? A win for Patrik Allvin. Canucks drafting, and then also signing, but drafting Tom Willander. Trevor Beggs, a fan of Tom Willander. I'm a fan of Tom Willander. I think he's valuable in a trade and also just valuable in general. I think he's going to show early on in his AHL career and early on in his NHL career this year that guy's a piece. He's giving you the juice. He's giving you value. He's somebody you want on your team. He reminds me of Rasmus Andersson. Now, I don't know how much swagger he's going to have, but I do see a confident individual. Right? I think that's a huge win. And how about this? The Niels Höglander signing a 3-year, $9 million contract. At the time, a huge win, and Trevor Begg still thinking that's a huge win. How about Canucks buying out OEL? Allvin did that. That's a ballsy move. Is that a win? Think about what it led to. Carson Soucy, Ian Cole, Teddy Bluger. Again, July 1st of 2023. Beautiful times. How about the Canucks in 2023 signing Pius Suter? Again, Allvin, these long negotiations, man, he's able to keep, players intrigued. Right? Give credit where credit was due. How about these two wins? The Canucks finding Kuzmenko, convincing Kuzmenko to stay, and then also signing and finding Dakota Joshua. Two guys who are not here anymore, but Allvin doing that. That's interesting. How about JT Miller and that extension he got? Again, we're talking about wins. Patrik Allvin's negotiations, $8 million a year. How did he back that up in not even just year one of that extension, just, off of signing that? JT Miller, 100-point player. I still believe the Rangers early on, right, in that deal are going to enjoy the fact that Allvin was able to negotiate that. And not even have it at like 8.5, right? Just having it at 8. It's a clean number. And good value for JT Miller. No longer with us, but hey, a win on Patrik Allvin's part, even though it's a loss for trading him. This guy's been around for 3.5 years. How has he done all these moves? How about when he fired Bruce Boudreau, became public enemy number one, and hired a guy who was on TV and Rick Tocchet? Right? The Canucks were open to being an embarrassing organization, how they treated their elders, okay? And they did so because they wanted to pay Rick Tocchet millions and millions of dollars. Right? Rick Tocchet, unsuccessful head coach for the most part, and they're willing to do that for him. That's a ballsy move, but it worked out. The Canucks were able to get, ahead of it psychologically and philosophically. That was important for the Canucks, right? Not wasting the end of that 2023 campaign. They implemented their system. They implemented their work ethic. It worked that offseason, and look at what happened in 23 and 24. That's because they fired Bruce Boudreau when nobody wanted that to happen at that time, because apparently we were embarrassing him, right? Bruce, there it is. And then it's Bruce, there you go. For Rick Tocchet too. Ballsy move. Really ballsy move. Trevor also saying it was a win when the Canucks signed Brock Besser to that first extension when Allvin and Rutherford were in town. It was a 3-year deal worth $6.65 a year. Pretty good. Pretty good. How about when the Canucks traded Horvat to the Islanders and acquired Filip Hronek right away? I mean, when you think about that trade, it obviously changed everything. It gave JT Miller the green light. Quinn Hughes found his partner. That was a huge trade. Huge trade. Monumental. One of the biggest in franchise history. Filip Hronek, a really solid player. A perfect complement to Quinn Hughes. Held his own too last year as well. We missed Quinn Hughes. We missed Filip Hronek when he was out of the lineup, and then we loved him even more when Quinn Hughes was out of it. And again, Filip Hronek was holding his own. Great player. But again, we also got Aatu Räty in that. It was Aatu Räty and Filip Hronek for Bo Horvat. And if Aatu Räty takes the next step, I think he will, this year, that trade's going to look like a steal. And who made that trade? Patrik Allvin. And look at Kevin K, man, saying that Aatu Räty will be more valuable than Filip Hronek. A lot of believers for that guy. Look, I like his spirit. I like his energy. I like his work ethic. I like that he doesn't give up. And he's been getting better. And last year he showed a lot of strides. Anywho, we got 2 more wins to talk about, and these 2 I do want to get into a little deeper. Okay, we kind of touched on the Zadorov one, trading Anthony Beauvillier for him. Again, this organization tried their best to sign Nikita Zadorov. Nikita Zadorov, didn't do what he was supposed to do in Boston. That being said, I wonder what Nikita Zadorov would have done under Rick Tocchet and, being behind Quinn Hughes and Filip Hronek. Right? What does he do for DPD? What does he do when Tom Melander comes here? Like, is Zadorov able to, live out a 5 to 6 year extension with the Canucks and be that 4-5 guy, but that perfect 4-5 guy that's also an X factor in the playoffs? Since he's got like a smaller role, because last year he was supposed to be the man in Boston, right? I know they got, they got Lindholm on defense, they got McAvoy on defense, but there was just like this gravitation towards Boston using Zadorov a lot. And that was never going to work. Let's be honest. The reason why Zadorov was so comfortable here was because he was nowhere close to being the man or ever going to be the man. But that kind of made him want it more. But in limited minutes and in sheltered minutes, he was able to exceed. But specifically to that trade, it was a win. It was huge. It was huge. You get him for not much, and he was like our 3rd best player in the playoffs, and that was not him getting lucky. I don't even think it was him leaning into the fact that he was a UFA and he was able to make millions of dollars off that run. I think that's just who he is in the playoffs. Like, he's a better player than Tyler Myers in the playoffs. That is just the truth. And in a different world, you you trade maybe Carson Soucy earlier. Again, they traded him like a handful of months later. He was so damn good in 2023, but again, 2024 he sucked. They trade him, they get rid of his salary. Like in another world, like last offseason, do they trade Soucy? Do they get rid of Myers, and do they keep Zadorov? And are we better? I'm thinking. And the last one that Trevor wrote about was the Lindholm trade, okay? And I actually wrote about this in the Substack. If you joined us for this long, and the longest episode of Locked On Canucks ever, Trevor Beggs just setting me up. Hit the link in the bio. I kind of talked about this, but I feel as if that trade was a loss. And yeah, it helped us win a round in the playoffs, but we gave a lot up in a time where we just, started looking good again. It was so soon to the window opening for us to be like an ultimate buyer. And we paid a premium to some extent for Lindholm, and we didn't sign him. And I know, looking back at it now, we're happy. I'm happy the Canucks didn't listen to me. But it's hard for me to put that up as a win, knowing that, again, we just started getting good. And for a team that has barely won over the last 10 years, you just want to be a little bit more careful trading out packages like that for non-superstars and for players you can't keep. Because I think about it, like that first we gave up for Lindholm and the prospect, the first we gave up Marcus Pettersson, like, what are we doing if we have that draft capital now? And like, you know what I'm saying? That's 2 first-round picks, and we end up with Marcus Pettersson. That's just me, though. Maybe I'm just being petty, but I don't know if I'm gonna completely write up that Lindholm trade as a win. And again, the fit was nice in the playoffs, but it was supposed to be a move that got Pettersson more comfortable. Was supposed to find him a triggerman. That chemistry was never there. And yeah, I don't know. The Lindholm one is something else. Anyways, we just went through every single move Patrik Allvin has made as a Vancouver Canucks GM, I think. Did we miss any? I don't know. Anyways, let's get to some comments here on Locked On Canucks. Greener saying we were a playoff team last year. I think the Lindholm trade was fine. That's fair too. I'm just a little petty. Again, for a team that doesn't make the playoffs a lot, in the last 2 years, we traded 2 first-round picks, and we ended up with Marcus Pettersson. Like, who else could we get if we packaged that up? Like, are we then in the Barzell conversation, right? How about this comment from Supersonic? Okay, I genuinely like the Braden Coots draft pick this year. Looks like a future captain, and hopefully the Braden Point for the Vancouver Canucks. Is that a win? Again, Allvin, like, one thing I will say about Allvin and Rutherford throughout their time, like, they've made a lot of moves, but I feel like if it all pans out, we'll look at this time of them stripping away all the fat, like stripping away all the cancer and all the lazy players, and just bringing in like this high motor energy type of team. And I just hope to see it ASAP as opposed to later, because come on. Well, we need wins now. Look at Kevin K saying they should move O'Connor in a 4th to make room for Bain, Sasson, and Carlson as a line. Whoa. Could you imagine that? Like, they move Bluger, they move Drew O'Connor, and they just bring up that AHL line as their 4th. That'd be fun. Dan Jardine saying Hronek held the D together when Quinn was hurt. He rose to the challenge. Again, the Allvin experience over 3.5 years, say what you want. That was a ballsy trade, trading your captain for Filip Hronek. And it worked out because Hronek was hurt at the time too. Remember that. But he set the tone. He really did. And I know we barely touched on this. I saw a comment about Mancini above. One of the losses, obviously, again, we barely touched on it because it's so redundant. The JT Miller trade, right? You should have held on to him. You should have got more. Blah, blah, blah. Look at Filipino. I wonder how good Valentino Martini is going to be. Like, he could be a number 6, a number 5, or there's that small chance he's a number 3. And he's a trade piece, right? You're dealing from a point of leverage, and You can maybe fix some positions up the lineup. Or again, he's just a prominent member of this team. Like, I wonder how we're talking about that trade in a couple of years. Hopefully the right way. Anyways, I got to go. Okay, that was a lot of talking again. Trevor Beggs telling me that we're going to do the Patrik Allvin recap. He made a list, and he didn't do the episode for more than 15 minutes, and I had to go through all of that. And it was 55 minutes, and I loved it. Okay, it's a good exercise. Thanks to you for joining me here on Locked On Canucks. Hit the like button, join the Substack, link in the bio. That's how we set the tone. We give you a 55-minute episode here on a Monday. My name Kyle Bhawan. Have a good morning, a good afternoon, a good night. We don't know when you're watching or listening to this, but hey, we truly do appreciate it. Peace.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.